Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the real Tekken 8. What do I mean by that? Let me show you. We got a big patch. This is a huge patch, and it's the last huge patch we're getting for Season 1 of Tekken 8. What they've done in this patch is change a bunch of characters, change a bunch of system mechanics, and realized their vision of their roadmap for Tekken 8. So what I want to do is I want to take you through the key changes. I'm not going to go super in depth. So my philosophy for this is damage changes or whatever. You'll feel that if you main the character, but I want to focus on the gameplay and the function changes that will affect you when you fight against these characters. Most of us are not labbing every single character in the game. Even the professionals are strapped for time. They're trying to find their own mains, lock down who they're going to compete with. So I want to focus on the things that will show up in the gameplay, show up in the tournament streams, and show up in your ranked games, okay? Bug fixes I'm also going to mostly skip over because if you're piloting the character, you'll feel it. But if you're fighting against them, you might have never noticed. Like a move will miss and you'll be like, neat, I got lucky, right? So timestamps will be below for all of the individual characters and a group for the system mechanics. Overall, the game now, I call it a new Tekken. Like MYK has tweeted that we're out of the 8.0 era, right? We've left the arcade initial release where everything is crazy, everything's ridiculous, and in testing. We're kind of stabilizing the game, and it's going to look very different. So, overall, the game has way less oppressive canned mix-ups. What do I mean by that? There are less situations where you're stuck literally guessing mid or low for your life, right? Guessing, do I duck? Do I stand? I can't even sidestep. I can't even use armor. I can't even rage art. I just have to guess. They're taking those out. They want it to feel less oppressive. And they listed this in their roadmap. Take a look at this real quick. This is their roadmap since the first initial patches. We want to increase characters' ability to show their unique characteristics and strengths. We want characters with disproportionately strong moves or high combo damage to be toned down. And we want to remove situations where one player dominates the attack, making it difficult to utilize defensive techniques effectively. Now, they had mixed success in that last one, I think, but I think they're on a decent track. So, the winners of this patch tend to have oppressive neutral situations, and I'm going to cover a lot of that in a bit. But in general, the game seems a lot more healthy defensively, less raw guesses, and a lot more counterplay, like constantly available. How that will pan out, whether it's more fun, we have yet to see. Let's try to keep this quick. Only thing that I want to talk about on a technical level is not the Tekken shop. It's the functional improvements. So, optimized PC performance, which is fantastic. The PC players have mixed performance. Sometimes the connection's really bad. Sometimes their PC just lags, so it lags the game for both players. That really sucks. Changing how they measure the graphics and the benchmark is a really nice change. They've also added a feature that automatically lowers your graphics settings if you have issues in online battles. Steam version only. Finally, practice mode will temporarily save your settings or punishment settings and defense if you leave practice mode and come back with the same character. Now, if you go to quick select and switch between characters, it doesn't save it there. But I think what this will mean is if you go into your ranked games and then come back, you'll get to keep the same defensive training drills, which is fantastic. More defense labbing, more training. We love that. Now, let's get right into the system changes that really matter. So I'll link the patch notes below. You should definitely take a deep dive if you're really serious about the game. I want to give you a quick overview of what really matters, right? Here's their adjustment policy. They're going to tone it down and just do small bug fixes. I'm sure if a character is really problematic, they'll deal with it. But we're not going to see this gigantic patch anymore with every character touched. So this is a big deal. Now, basics of the move list. They've given a name to different parries. So strong parry and strong reversal are the names for the Jin and Leroy style parries, which they beat these other moves that traditional Tekken parries don't beat. So elbows and knees, headbutts and body charges, weapons, and airborne attacks like hop kicks or moves where your character jumps and does a low king. These moves cannot be parried traditionally, can be parried by strong parries or strong reversals. Next, it's important to note that all parries still lose to throws, unblockables, charge attacks that are held to the max duration, and reversal breaks. This is a new term they've also invented. It's already existed, but reversal breaks are now strictly categorized. So rage arts, heat smashes, power crushes that have absorbed attacks, so the powered up power crushes, and some unique moves that are going to be coming out. Lydia, for example, seems to have one. Heat burst is no longer a reversal break. So if you do a heat burst and your opponent does a heat burst, they can armor through your heat burst. They can do it with a regular power crush. Huge nerf to Heat Burst that we're going to keep talking about in a bit. They've noted here in the move list the specific strong parry and strong reversal. So you'll notice like Bryan forward 1+2, or Alisa's parry where her head comes off. These are strong parries. They work against any type of move that isn't these listed like parry breakers, I guess. All right. They mentioned, by the way, for the reversal break, there's going to be unique animation except for Rage Arts, because Rage Arts can block even reversal breaks. Now, hazards and stage gimmicks. Few changes, nerfs all around, which we love to see. The destruction hazards, so where you like break a wall or break a floor, those used to delete 20 gray health, now it's 15. Explosion hazards, where the wall blows up and you fly around, those just do regular damage, and that's nerfed as well. And that's really good, because they were doing a ton of damage. 10 damage doesn't sound like a lot. But consider that a 10 frame punish can be like 22 damage. That's like half a punish, leading into a combo, permanent health. It's disgusting. So these nerfs are very welcome. The Rage Art change is generic, and it just standardizes how much everybody heals. This is a fantastic change. I don't think a character should heal more than another, because their Rage Art has more hits, like aesthetically, right? So this is cool. It says the first hit is 1, and the second hit is 13, but it's 14. You heal 14. And then there were bug fixes. Again, we're not going too deep into bug fixes. If you main a character or had an issue, and you explore enough within your character's community, Twitter, Discord, things like that, avoid Reddit, I recommend that, you will find a lot of details and be able to know what's been changed. And if you never noticed, then no big deal. Heat burst nerfs, this is really important. So, reduced tracking. Heat bursts were, I believe, effectively homing. I don't think they were categorized as homing, but you could almost always track somebody with it, unless they were like directly behind you. So reduced tracking, it's now steppable, but it depends on the frame advantage. So if you have enough plus frames, it's probably still not steppable. And because they're not reversal breaks anymore, they can be power crushed or parried. One change I really like is that Heat Burst cannot KO anymore, right? So there were checkmate situations where you have one pixel, your opponent still has heat, they just have to wait for you to run in, and they could just throw a Heat Burst and you can never hit them, right? You would have to time a low perfectly or a throw perfectly. It was ridiculous. So to reduce the oh, it's doomed effect and kind of, I think, increase like spectator appeal, right? There's always a chance of a comeback. Heat bursts do not kill anymore. Reduce pushback on hit on block, so it's less like of a, like everybody break, pause the game, you know? Less of that I think is nice. And then new opponent behavior on block. They've just changed some effects. I don't know if the frames are actually different. But yes, Heat Burst overall nerfed, and we love to see that. Heat Dash. Big nerfs here. Wall stagger completely removed from heat dashes. So if you heat dashed and somebody ran into a wall, you would get like a plus 18 situation. If they slid really far, like from the wall, you would get an even bigger situation, like more frame advantage. They've taken that out. In exchange, you heal now when you activate heat dash. So not only are you healing from hitting their block or hitting them, spending the heat dash gives you plus 6 health on hit and plus 3 health on block. Keep it moving. We want to get to the characters as quickly as possible. Heat dash knockdown. There are two classes of, or multiple classes of heat dashes. Some of them lead to an aerial combo, and some of them just give you a guaranteed follow-up. They've changed the heat dash knockdown, where you get a single follow-up. Now you can tech roll as the defender out of it. They've also increased the damage reduction. So you take less damage now from these moves. Now, some adjustments have been made to account for this. So they changed the knockdown behavior, so the attacker who did the heat dash still gets a follow-up. But characters like Steve lost like their peekaboo down 2 follow-up. They have to do something different now. And so this is something you'll have to check out for your character if you did a heat dash knockdown follow-up. Throws have also undergone a huge overhaul. And this is a big factor in like Tekken has changed, right? Tekken 8 has changed. So in the launch of Tekken 8, from the betas through the last patch, throws were all effectively homing. Now they've made a distinction. So normal throws, the generic throws that can be broken with 1 or 2, actually have homing tracer lines and will track both ways. Command throws all have decreased tracking and are now steppable. In addition, throws that will trigger hazards like wall breaks or floor explosions have 80% extra scaling. So this is good. This is a nerf to throws overall, but that's not the full story. Some command throws have been given the homing property in exchange. So Dragonuv has his spin fake out, like that's what these are. King has generic throws, and then if he holds forward, he moves forward and throws. It's the same throw, but it moves further forward. That's actually from the old Tekken games too. King has kept them, not every character has. I think most of them haven't, actually. Those are homing. Reina's stance throws King's chain grabs as well, by the way, are all homing. Very fun. Paul's generic throw that has an extra input after, same with Hwoarang, those are now homing, probably because there's no way to differentiate like hitting the throw and then the direction after. And then Reina's stance throws and then Steve's clinch throws. These are all homing now. Finally, there are jump status changes. So the design of Tekken 8 is that they took out chickening, which is where you could parry someone else's parry. Now, since that's gone, they made certain moves unparryable, mainly moves that give you the jump status. It didn't apply to every move. They've fixed these moves specifically to have that status. Important to note that if there are generic moves, like jumping landing 2, I guess, that is not a parry break, right? Like you can still get parried if it's like a generic input that everybody has. That's not in the move list. I don't know why they made that distinction. Thanks for sitting through the system changes. These are big, by the way. These are really, really big. You'll have to relearn how your character does follow-ups. You have to re-engage with the throw system. People were using throws when they didn't have tracking pokes. Like Lili using throws was a great answer to her tracking problem. So these are huge changes. Explore your character. This is going to be big. But now let's get to the character-specific changes. First, Alisa. By the way, I want to thank Dr. Darkly from my Discord for giving me all of these patch notes in dark mode. I really appreciate him for that. My Discord's really fun. You can come into the stream and we'll have the link there if you want to join. Anyways, Alisa. Not many changes. Easier to punish forward 2-1, and her high power crush has been nerfed in alignment with everybody else's. So everybody has had high power crush nerfs, universally. Hers are, she's just less safe, -9. She has 4 less active frames. It was very active, and she's in the jump status for less. Very quick changes for Alisa, not much else to see. Honestly, if your character is not getting touched, that's something to be grateful for. Being ignored by the balance team is better than being nerfed, and you will start to see that later on. Asuka, huge buffs for Asuka. 1-1 now has a delayable safe mid extension, and some of the other moves here too, but 1-1 is a really good one because it comes out of jab. So this is just a basic idea of the flowchart she can do now. 1-1 delay 3, giving a plus 14 on counter hit, so I believe she gets a free heat engage. If you respect the extension, she can do things like 1-1 can if you decide to go low. Like say you did a down jab or you did like a down 4. And then if you respect all options of just blocks, you can do 1-1 into a mix-up. 1+2, down 1+2, etc. Very, very strong change for Asuka. Forward 2 is her combo extension. For some reason, they made it safe. Now, the patch notes have a typo. They say it goes from -9 to -12, but I tested it. It used to be -13. Now it's -9. On hit, it becomes +1. So now Asuka can throw out a lot more attacks. She's usually been a defensive character. Now she's going to be hitting you a lot more, especially with her running moves out of Naniwa Gusto. Speaking of which, if you get hit in the air, it now does a tornado, so she'll get a combo. So be careful. She'll also get the buff off of hitting forward 2. So instead of ending the combo and getting the buff, she can start the combo and get the buff. This is probably an adjustment for beginner players, but also gives more variety in how she can choose to end her combo and still have the buff. So Asuka looking very, very nice. Azucena, heavily nerfed in the last patch, but they were planning to buff her back. Let's see what they did that was really relevant. So 1-1, they made -10. This is standard for a Tekken style like jab string, but they've made it delayable, and the second hit now gives a counter hit follow-up. If you're an Azucena player, test that out. I'm sure the Azucena experts will know exactly what that is. But at the time of recording, we don't have all that info. So, in alignment with everyone else, high power crush heat engager nerfed. So from -8 to -9, I think most of them went to -9. I think the idea is that you should completely lose your turn for doing a heat engager high safe power crushing move. But they've also reduced the tracking and the horizontal hitbox. Now, when they say horizontal hitbox, I don't think they mean range, because they would say range. I think they mean the thickness, the girth of the hitbox is reduced. So if you do a sidestep button, you're less likely to be clipped. I don't know how it works, but that's my hunch. Now, the key changes that aren't generic, down forward 1-4 can now go into back turn. Down 4-1 can go into liberator stance. So you'll see Azucena do like a mid punch into a high kick and be back turned. You'll see her like do a low kick and then that face tap into liberator stance. So these are new transitions. You'll have to be prepared for her stance offense out of moves you normally do not see her go into stance out of. Good changes for Azucena players. Be careful if you're fighting against her. Manual back turn, where she hits back 3+4, she just jumps, go wahoo, you know. She recovers 3 frames faster. So her offense from back turn is going to come a lot faster. You have a less time pause. You have a less time to react. Finally, her liberator, she had like a liberator backdash sabaki. I didn't know this existed, but her up forward 1 like parries punches while she's doing the punch, and she could do that out of the liberator stance where she like dances back and she could do the punch, mostly for the Azucena players. Bryan Bryan's changes, and as you can see, I listed multiple characters. These changes are all kind of like nothing burger changes. Like, these are the relevant ones. But if you're fighting Bryan, you're not trying to get taunted anyways. Your gameplay is kind of probably revolving around not getting taunted. So this just increases the reward for Bryan players. But I think, to be honest, there are more problematic things like 3+4 2 and 3+4 charge 2, right? So Bryan gets his taunt scaling removed. He's just going to hit a little bit harder in situations where he gets the taunt off. Soccer kick, the quarter circle back 4, now reliably flips over more often. I think there were specific situations where if you're lying a certain way, it'll just whiff. Bryan players are going to flip you over more often, so be aware of that. Claudio, bunch of nothing. Hitbox reliability, but the big one I think is that he had some situations where if he's just sitting and crouch, he'll just avoid shit. That doesn't happen anymore. He's less evasive when he's just crouching, which is a good thing. Again, if you main these characters, you can dig into these and really download and understand and test out why they work the way they do. But for opponents, they won't notice much of these. Devil Jin. The Morning Crow 2-2 tech trap is removed. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up any Kudon's clip from Combo Breaker, DreamHack, the Super ATL tournament. He always does this setup. They like do the while standing 3, you flip over, and then Devil Jin flies at you. If you tech roll, he'll hit you in the rear. They took that out. I think that's unfortunate. It was kind of a cool setup, but it was unintended. So, aside from the other hitbox reliability changes, they nerfed Demon Paw. So the pushback on all Demon Paws in this game are reduced. So they keep their frame disadvantage, but they're closer to you. And why that's relevant is because the pushback made it so they could still kind of backdash out of your offense, meaning you have to run into them. So the fact that the Demon Paw was minus didn't really matter that much. Dragonuv has a bunch of hitbox consistency things as well. None of them really matter, but the back 4 recovery change is really, really nice. This move was really oppressive. So not only is it... they had to reduce the frames. It would make sense. Not only was it just a safe poke, it had extensions. If it counter hit with the back 4-2, he could confirm into the high 1, and it did a ton of permanent health damage. And it's his heat engager, right? If he does back 4-3, the high... It's a heat engager that also has the launching heat dash property. So this is a great nerf, so Dragonuv can't just trap you at the wall and spam back 4. Really obnoxious situation. I'm really happy that's gone. Okay, we're making good progress. These not super significant changes are really, really nice for getting through this video on time. Eddy has a bunch of hitbox changes. For example, handstand 2-3. By the way, that's Bananera. I did not say that right. I'm sorry. There was a situation where if you just sidestep to the right, the first hit would be blocked and the second hit would whiff no matter what. Now they made it so that both hits will track. So reliability thing, nice for Eddy, rough for us defenders. Back 3-3 from -14 to -15. Launch punishable, but you have to do a mid. I don't think your electrics are going to hit unless maybe you, I don't know, unless the hitbox is weird. I just know that Eddy is usually with these moves not punishable by highs. I say usually because might be an exception I don't know about. And then, like everybody, he had the safe high power crush nerf in back 3+4. Everything else, oh, no, forward 4-3. That's probably important to note. Get a little paste here. Forward 4-3 from -13 to -14. Nice typing. Oh my god, I'm griefing this video. Okay, here we go. Fixed. -13 to -14. All right, small important note to make. Want to make it even cleaner? Let me get this little arrow in here. Anyways... important to nail your punishes on these changing characters, and redoing your punishes is going to be very important in all of these like changes. These kinds of punishes and the defensive attention to detail makes a huge difference. I know I have to get into practice mode. Enough of being your dad. Feng Wei. Everybody's dooming about Feng. I don't think it's that bad. I think it's pretty fair. And we'll get to my characters later. I'm not down. Okay, listen. All these changes are fair. Even my character. We'll get to that later. Feng Wei. Lots of damage nerfs, easier to punish. And that's a hurtbox thing. They didn't change the frames, but like certain pushback situations would make punishes miss. So they've fixed those and they've nerfed his damage. And that makes sense. From a design standpoint, Feng is supposed to do everything except a lot of damage, right? He's supposed to be ridiculously strong on offense, ridiculously good at counter hitting, good frames, good poking, good whiff punishment. But with less damage, he has to win more interactions. So these damage nerfs are really, really welcome. Hopefully chipping him off of the like god tier that he belongs at. Or that he was living at. Headbutt now gives us a counter hit follow up, and back turn 2 doesn't heat dash launch anymore. That's really important. That move was ridiculous. It was a power crushing back turn heat dash launcher mixed up with a low launcher from back turn. Anyways, Shifting Clouds 2 is the other thing I noticed. On counter hit, it used to like push you on your butt, I think, and do plus 25. Now it does the same on normal hit. So I'm assuming they've just unified that to try to get him to use his other stances more and not just be a Tekken demon. Not sure how useful that's going to be. This is a high. Shifting Clouds 2 is a high. Hwoarang, lots of nerfs, which I was surprised by. I was very surprised to see this happen. Maybe too much edge and speed kicks on the timeline. T1 edge, guys. Come on. Down forward 3-4, his Power Crush was buffed for this game. Second hit became minus 12. They put it back to minus 14, which is what it was at in Tekken 7. Additionally, the second hit was considered part of the Power Crush. So now it can be throw punished as well. And I believe 14 frames is where characters get their launching throws, like Law and Xiayou. So if you do this Power Crush and they block it, I believe Law and Xiayou can launch you. In the comments, you can correct me if their command throws are not 14 frames. The biggest thing on top of that is they made his low-high strings easier to launch punish. So if you don't know how it works, Hwoarang does like down 3-4, and you have to be really quick on your punish if you're going to do it, right? He has Flamingo forward 4, the flippy kicks, to counter hit you out of a slow launch. But what they've done is they've reduced the input window for Hwoarang's second hit, so he has to commit, I think, a bit, just 1 frame sooner. But if the second hit is input, the opponent's recovery time on blocking the first hit has been increased, allowing the opponent to act after the second hit whiffs, making it easier to punish whether or not the second hit is executed or not. So I'm guessing if Hwoarang just does the single down 3, it's easier to confirm that it was blocked. Feng Wei went through a similar change in the last patch, and you're going to see Lili also went through a similar change, where they increase like the delay between both characters being able to act to make the punish easier for the defender. In return, Hwoarang gets 13 damage. That's nothing. Taking this punishment and ruining his lows, I'm not a Hwoarang fan, okay? But this is tough for Hwoarang, I have to say. Other thing is, Crouch Dash 3 is now parryable, even though he jumps in the air. I thought airborne attacks weren't parryable. I don't know how that works. Hwoarang, tough situation. That's rough to see. This kind of low-high string mix-up was kind of a big part of his like overwhelming offense, like the fact that he could hit you low and then decide not to do the extension and then go into stand. Like there's a lot of like things out of that. Not the standing down 3-4, but I think these other ones transition into his other stances a little differently. But now that's all gone and easier to punish. So tough spot for Hwoarang. Jack 8. Key buffs that I noticed. And again, if any of these buffs, you think I missed something, didn't talk about it, let me know in the comments. That helps me out a ton. And I'd like to have a discussion. Sometimes I like to talk to YouTube people. Sometimes. Throw ranges are extended. I don't know why they did that. Maybe to make it line up with his long arms. But now his throws will hit you from farther away. His up forward 3, it was a jump that goes into Gamma Howl. He does like a lightning jump, right? He jumps, the lightning's the floor, you gets ground pounded. You have to block it low to not be in the stance mix-up. What's crazy is they made it minus 12. It used to be launch punishable. Nobody was reacting to that, by the way. Like, I think we did some testing. Maybe people are now. But when Jack first came out, we were kind of in the lab testing, can you react to this visually? And it was too hard with all the other jumping similar moves he has, right? Now it's minus 12. So even if you duck it, you only get a small 12-frame punish. But the idea is to let Jack go into stance more often, and that's pretty obnoxious. On top of that, it does gray health damage. It can't KO. But it also has reduced pushback. 5 frames faster on whiff means he can kind of just throw it out. This move is crazy. These alone aren't crazy, but if we keep seeing buffs like this, it's going to look pretty nasty. Other small buffs that are going to eventually matter a lot, I think, especially in the long run, running 1+2 while standing 2-4 and Gamma Health 4 are all +4, formerly +3 on block. Look forward to seeing tons of really crazy Jack play. I think Joe Crush is probably the exemplary Jack player right now in like style. It felt like they made this Jack for him. Anyways, Jin. Not a lot of changes. Universal Demon Paw pushback nerf that everybody with a Demon Paw received. He also had a Demon Paw hitbox reduction. I think there's a Twitter picture of him like Demon Pawing like here, and the block animation is like here, like the enemy character is here. So they tried to make it more visually in line with what you see. And then the Heat Smash is easier to sidestep on subsequent hits, right? So if you sidestep the first hit, the tracking ability of the third hit has been adjusted to prevent it from realigning. Right, that's pretty nice. That's pretty dumb. I think I didn't mention it, but Dragonuv had a similar change. Right, during Heat, tracking ability of the second hit has been adjusted to prevent it from tracking. So, should have put that down. Sorry, I didn't. Jun Kazama, tons of changes here. I'm gonna keep it real. Not a lot of them, I think, super significant in the overall sense of fighting against the character. Also, shout outs to RDC World. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to the YouTube video. YouTube, say hi to RDC World after the fact. Appreciate you guys. Jun Kazama, not tons of huge substantial changes. She has a lot of healing, so the Jun mains are going to really feel this. The Jun mains are really going to love this because there's a lot of healing, quality of life, different strategies to apply. As the defender, you're not going to really notice this too much, I think. The big things are the low heat smash is now -12 with less pushback, so you don't get your 14 frame punish. Jin can't launch this anymore, for example. Wait, don't let me talk out of my ass. It's a low block, but it might be a 14 standing punish. Either way, you get a 12 frame punish. Lab it out. Don't be like me. And then Genjutsu 1 is now -12 on block as well. Other big change is Genjutsu 3 transitions to crouch if she holds down. But aside from that, most of her moves are going to function similar with different changes to her health bar. All right. Kazuya Mishima. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right, Kazuya mains. I'm going to level with you. You probably don't like me. That's okay. I hope by discussing these changes, I can actually help you play the character better. And I'm going to explain why after I do my bitching. So let me complain first, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. Hopefully we can all learn something from this. I come in peace! Devil 1+4. He stomps, and it's like the old Devil Jin Power Crush. So be like armored, but I think it also like stuns them. You know, anyways, they made this accessible from crouch. They made it consume less heat, and it has a reversal break. So you can't like Power Crush this shit. Pretty good. Down forward 1-4 now gives a guaranteed steel pedal or stomp. It used to launch in tag too, believe it or not. So they made this move better. They also made it -11, so it's punishable. I should have put that. -11. On block. Down back 1-2 was too good at picking people up off the ground. Too good at picking people up off the ground, right? So what they did is they made it harder to get the heat dash conversion unless they're at the wall. And I think that's a good change. Kazuya already has insane Okazemi, so to be forced to stand up because he's in heat led to pretty skewed situations. And remember their design philosophy, okay, before you complain, remember the design philosophy. Get back here. Situations where one player dominates the attack, okay? So Kazuya already has a crazy vortex, giving him this whole stand up now or die. A little too Geese Howard for my liking. So unless your back is to the wall, you don't get this grounded heat dash as reliably. According to the notes, I'm sure we might find different things off of Damage 1-2. Tons of other hitbox changes that are kind of nice. He has like a new move to avoid going to devil form. He has CD3 doing chip damage. We're going to see a lot of that. But the big one I think is like a back 2-2 1+2. The combo ender. Easier to get the wall follow up because they've reduced the recovery, or they made it faster to recover. And then CD44, the other Hell Sweep extension we rarely see, also recovers faster. But that's not what we're here to talk about, right? All these changes are nice. If you're a Kazuya player, you like the hitbox changes. Let's talk about CD1+2. No longer a counter hit launcher, but does 33 damage and is a +5 on block advancing mid out of wave dash. When I posted this on Twitter, I asked, why did they remove all the demon paws just to give an advancing mid that's +5? Oh my god, it's so linear. Oh my god, he needs it. There's tons of things. Okay, let me explain this. We're going to take a quick break. If you don't care about this, if you believe me that Kazuya didn't really need this, let's take a quick... you can jump to the next part of the timestamp. That's what I was saying. But let's take a quick break to talk about tracking and Kazuya Mishima. So, when you're defending against Kazuya, what you usually do is sidewalk to the left. Is the game too loud? Is that a decent volume? Sidewalk to the left. What I have here is a demonstration of the basic principle. He's doing a jab, and then he's doing CD1+2. The jab fixes the timing because sidestep is timing dependent. All right, a little loud. Let me turn it down a little bit. All right. Sidesteps depend on the timing of your sidestep. If I wait 40 years and then I try to sidestep, it might actually still work. Nope. See, if I wait too long, the sidestep will get clipped. So sidesteps are timing dependent. Proof point number 1. When you're sidestepping against Kazuya, sidewalk left does almost everything for you, which is really, really nice. How does Kazuya counter that? With timing changes. So, what you just saw was jab into immediate timing, meaning acting immediately, electric and the CD1+2. Pretty underwhelming if I can sidewalk that to the left. How does Kazuya counter that? Well, what if he delays the CD1+2? If he delays the CD1+2 and I do my classic sidewalk left block, it'll clip me. Now, why not just keep sidewalking, PhiDX? Obviously, you're cherry picking this example just to show Kazuya to prove your point. If you just hold sidewalk to the left, you can always get around it. Well, person, let me show you. If you just hold sidewalk to the left, dash electric will clip you. Assuming it's on that fixed timing with the jab, and that does matter, you'll get clipped doing a sidewalk. So the whole reason you don't hold sidewalk against Kazuya is because of the electric. The safe, high, plus on block launcher. Advancing. 13 frames, if you're really good. So that's the basics of tracking it. You probably already know that. And if you're a Kazuya player, you've probably seen this before. Like, the really good Kazuya players are handling this. They're dealing with it. So it's not just a 50-50 with hell sweeps and whatever. You're also playing the timing game with sidewalking, electrics. And it's really cool. I actually think it's really cool fighting against a good Kazuya who makes you deal with this. It's frustrating, but it's cool. Okay, like the pro level Kazuya, this is really sick. All right, but in a real game, you're not really dealing with jab into the move. Like, sometimes you are, but let's talk about it in like a neutral situation. Look at this. Wave dash, hell sweep. He does one wave dash and then a hell sweep. All right, how do you counter this? Well, in a neutral situation, if I know Kazuya is going to do this, I could react to his forward movement and do my sidewalk left block after. Pretty good, right? That looks pretty easy. In fact, I can actually hold my sidewalk, but we already talked about why you don't hold it. It's because of the electric. How does Kazuya deal with this? Well, delay electric is a great example. So let me turn this off just so you can see what I recorded. That's a dash electric with a slight delay. So if you're reacting to forward movement, like if I'm moving around in neutral, playing the game, I see Kazuya move forward, and then I try to sidewalk left, odds are in a neutral state when I'm looking for everything, I will sidewalk too late, and the electric will clip me. So because I'm looking for this hell sweep, I'm going to get clipped by that. Right? Because I'm looking for that extra first wave dash, I'm going to get blown up by the dash electric. Right? Now, say I want to cover both options, right? Say I want to do like sidewalk left duck. I don't have to worry about the timing. I can kind of dodge it and still block both, right? Assuming I hold the duck. PhiDX. This is where the CD1+2 really comes into play. You're stopping the sidewalk. Remember that a permanent sidewalk gets around it really well. Gets around this mix-up really well, right? But if you're holding that duck and Kazuya's good timing, now it's a real problem. So now I have to decide on reaction to forward movement. Can I get around the hell sweep and not get clipped by the electric and sidewalk left the CD1+2, right? I'm in practice mode. He's coming at the same timing every time. Even then I'm getting hit, right? And that's before you insert an option like this, like wave dash electric. Or sorry, immediate electric. Not wave dash electric. Immediate electric. So if I'm moving around trying to find my own hits and he just throws out a counter hit launcher, I can die. This is what makes Kazuya powerful, okay? So, I talk a lot of shit. But if you're playing Kazuya, use this to your advantage. Don't defend yourself on Twitter. Kill people in ranked, okay? Like, beat them up for complaining about this. If somebody's complaining, it gives you a clue what makes your character good, okay? So, take advantage of that. Please, I beg of you. And speaking of complaints, let's go to King. All the King mains hate me too. Let me show you why this is so valid. This is so valid, okay? First, let's talk about his nerfs. Let's be a little bit somewhat slightly fair, okay? Let's talk about what they nerfed. First of all, throws on the whole were nerfed, right? So King loses a lot of tracking, right? That's really a bummer. Damn. Back 3 is also nerfed as part of the nerfing all of the high power crushes that they're doing in this entire game. Or yeah, literally the entire game. They've also nerfed the Oki, so it says that they've increased the recovery on back 3 after the attack throw hits. So damage is down, recovery up, he gets less guaranteed stuff. What is that? Mishima wave dash enable? Oh. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. You know, there were like a very few players in the world who could do the King wave dash. And it was kind of really hype when he could do it. It was kind of really hype. Like, listen, you know me by now. I don't like King that much. But when I saw a King player start doing this, because I knew how hard it was, I was like, okay, he's kind of cooking, right? He's kind of cooking. And then he can turn it into like the running giant swing. I can't do that, but like, but they can do that. That was kind of cool. Okay, I'll give it up. Now everybody can do it. Now everyone can do it. I think that's less cool. Happy for everybody else, not happy for me. Down back 1+2 got buffed. This move leaves you closer on heat engage, so he can grab you more easily. You know this move is ridiculous, right? You know this move is insane. It's an unwhiff punishable power crush. that he can cancel into a throw. So the character who you want to hit to stop him from grabbing you for free has an unwhiff punishable power crush. So when you respect it in neutral, he just grabs you or does this and counter hits you. And they buffed it. By the way, again, if I'm complaining and it bugs you, don't go to the comments. Go into ranked and use what I'm telling you. And if it doesn't work for you, that's okay. There's still a skill curve to using stupid moves, okay? Like, I suck at using Lili. She's very carried. We're getting to Lili, by the way. Forward 4-2 is now an advancing plus on block mid. Plus 12 on hit, but, like, I was trying to demonstrate the block, right? Turn off this standing punish thing. I know this video is getting long, by the way. Timestamps for a reason. That's plus 7, and they clearly designed it so that his throws could not be stepped after. Remember how they made throws steppable? Remember how... Maybe it's to the right. Maybe it's to the right. Remember how they made throws steppable? Yeah, see? Remember how they made throws steppable? Well, they wanted to do this so you couldn't step it anymore. That was the whole point of that. And it's an advancing mid. And on Twitter, people were saying, oh, it's so slow. If you're getting hit, that's your fault. No, okay? It's not my fault. I mean, it is my fault, okay? But it's not as cut and dry as you would point out. The reason is King has a bajillion other moves that will blow you up for just trying to do that, right? He has shove. He has the armor. He has forward 4 neutral 2. He has counter hit throws, right? He has the chest. How do you do the chest bump? This thing? Like, what are we talking about, man? And this isn't from me. This is from Jasandi, one of the best King players in the world, okay? In the world. Jake Man is using this shit. He's not complaining. He's happy. Okay? These moves are all insane. One move having counterplay does not make it weak. You have to consider it in the context of the entire kit, just like with Kazuya. All right? If you're getting stepped by these moves, check this out. Delay timing. All right, I'm done being mean. My point is, you guys should abuse this. If you are a King player, abuse this. Like, this is going to be really, really good for you to get wins. And ultimately, whether I like a character or not is not important. What's important is that you learn something coming from my videos. If you hate King, maybe that was entertaining. If you love King, hopefully you put up with it a bit so you can start to abuse other people and laugh at them for their suffering. That's what you picked this character for, is to make other people... I'm kidding. Seriously, abuse what people complain about. It's very important, okay? I've ranted about King enough. Let's move on. Kuma and Panda, very, very strong, by the way, as of the newest changes. Not a lot of adjustments here. I think they've gotten enough, and I think they know that. Just a lot of hitbox adjustments, okay? So nothing crazy. Lars was also very similar. Hitbox adjustments, some hurtbox adjustments. He was jumping over stuff and going under stuff. They didn't adjust his orbital out of 2-1, and that one is surprising to me. He can still evade a lot of stuff, I imagine, but they're making adjustments to that versus what's intended and unintended. So we'll see what happens. First, next big change is Law. Okay, so Law went through a few key changes that you will really feel as someone fighting against him. So Heat Smash second hit has nerfed tracking, meaning like if he whiffs the first hit, and sorry, I punched the mic. He does the first hit and then he does the nunchuck won't randomly track you anymore. Allegedly, I haven't tested it. The regular nunchuck doesn't flip over anymore. So after he slides under your legs, he doesn't get the flip over. So he doesn't get to loop the slide situation. In Heat, though, it still flips over since it spends your meter. So they wanted to say that like that's justified. Slide hurt box is also enlarged, so that's a nerf. Easier to hit him, I presume. Yeah, certain attacks would whiff, easier to hit him. Lee. Main Man already did a video on Lee. I actually haven't watched it yet. I might watch it, but you got this, Lee players. So not many changes to Lee. General high power crush nerfs. Heat burst has gained range, which is surprising to me. That's a surprising change in the heat burst nerf meta. Or like when their intention is clearly to nerf Heat Burst. But they've given it more range. The big change to Lee is the mid evasion is down. And this is nice for anybody who fights Lee. His down forward 1 would destroy your jabs. His slides would go under tons of things, even mids. Misstep 3+4 is the slide, slower version. And then Hitman 4 was also going under some mids. So this was good that it makes him a lot more reasonable. They didn't touch forward 4. Okay, so you can still go under mids with a bit more intention. But the basic moves that should be hit by mids and down for 1, which should be able to be jabbed, I think are adjusted, which is nice. And then the rest are some small adjustments. I don't think they matter too much. All right, moving along. We're making good progress. Leo. Not a lot of huge changes here. I think Leo is actually pretty strong. You don't see a lot of tournament Leos, but that's because to get to like the stream matches, you have to win a lot of matches. Okay, so you might only see the same Leos, the ghosts, but there are a lot of Leos that we be fighting. Okay. While setting 1+2 goes from -15 to -14, a little annoying because shoulders are usually launch punishable, so we have to track another exception to the rule. -14 instead of launch, unless you have a 14 from launcher. Down 1 is buffed, so it used to do knockdown, I believe, into a guaranteed follow-up on counter hit. They said, instead, we're going to leave you standing with +13. And this lets you get a guaranteed heat engage with While Rising 4. Even with because there was damage scaling applied to combos after a counter hit, you actually deal more damage with this new follow-up, according to Bandai Namco. I don't play Leo. And then they adjusted QCF 2-4, so the second hit is now delayable for both string extensions. The 4 does chip damage now, and instead of being -11, it is -4. So they made it a real move. Neat. Kind of obnoxious to be delayable, actually. This move has insane range, and -4 is still very playable. Leroy. So Leroy, a lot of internet talk about Leroy. I'm not convinced he was super strong after the last patch. I'm not really convinced that they made him ridiculous. So these changes also don't seem to do a lot. The Kane one is kind of nice. If you get counter hit out of the Kane before the first hit actually lands, he gets to keep the Kane, which is pretty good because the Kane is pretty nasty. The other big change I saw was the grounded punches. So it becomes launch punishable if you block it. And is a bit less advantageous on hit, but it's less likely to whiff now. So like a overhaul adjustment. Otherwise, he probably has some more hitbox changes and damage changes that Leroy mains will enjoy, but I didn't think this was very significant. What is significant is how much Lili was changed. So I've been playing Lili, Chikrin has been playing Lili. I think she was a very easy to pilot character that was really good at robbing people. She had really hard to deal with offense, insane movement. The only exchange was that her tracking was a bit weak outside of down 3 and her homing moves. And even with big frame advantage, her pokes didn't really track well. So she was a weird character that couldn't really press offense too hard, but it didn't really matter because if she got one big hit into like a counter hit or a hop kick and started her vortex, I said her vortex in the same time and that came out wrong. It would lead to Feisty Rabbit and you'd be guessing for your life. And if you tried to oppress her, she had her sidestep, she had forward 4 counter hit, she had 1-1-3. She was really hard to fight. So I think these changes are really fair. Let's talk about them. Piercing Thorn is her jumping mid forward kick. I'll show it visually. I'm sure you know what it is. She goes like, aha, when she's in heat. And it was a really, really oppressive move, especially at the wall. And they took out the wall stagger effect. That's the big one. So it was this move, right? It came out of this, it came out of this, it came out of Feisty Rabbit 4. When in heat, she would go, aha, and it would wall stagger and have insane plus frames. You had to deal with it. They took that out. Instead, they gave her +3 in every situation that you use it. So 1, 2, 4 is one of the strings. That's +5. Every other string, I believe, was +4. Now it's +7. So slightly more advantage. Again, at +5, Lili isn't really tracking you. So you can still sidestep a lot of her options except like 1-2 jab. So that's big. Big change to make her a bit more fair to defend against, and honestly, her this like frame advantage I think is not that big of a deal to deal with, personally. Lili player bias. 1-1 is now -6. This is a really big deal as well. It was -4 before, so she still had a lot of counterplay options. Now it's going to be easier to fight against, and she can't just kind of spam it. On top of that, they made it so that both characters recover slower, so you have more time to visually be like, oh, she didn't finish 1-1-3, let me play the game now. And that same thing happens with her back turn 3-4. If you don't know what string that is, that's this one. Back turn 3-4. Wow, nice sidestep, Kazuya. Back turn 3-4. What a lot of Lili players would do is just the first hit, and it's -10. And by the time you realize what's going on, the punish window has ended. What they've done, as I mentioned, is both the players and the opponent's recovery are increased by 4. So it's still -10, but you have more time to react now. So they wanted to nerf kind of how she could just get away with just doing the one kick over and over. Voila, QCF 3 is nerfed. This is a big one. This is what made Lili so ridiculously carried and why I loved playing her, is because I don't even know how to recreate the situation without the wall. So let me restart, show you guys a little practice mode, you know. Restart at the wall. Jeez, I'm already washed. It no longer does the flip over Okazemi that gives you the nasty wake ups. Instead, it does this roll away flip over. And that happens with all variants of Voila. It's also minus 11 on block and has damage reduction as well, I believe. Nope, no damage reduction. That's surprising. But yeah, it was just to reduce the looping nature of her Feisty Rabbit offense. That was really ridiculous. I gotta be honest, it was ridiculous. They also removed her Heat Dash combo. Now this was also an insane change. And look at this. So she had a combo before where she would do this. And then voila you. I have the main man syndrome with my combos. Wow, maybe it doesn't even reach anymore. But off of Heat Dash, surely it reaches, right? Douche, 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 voila. And you used to do this, and you would get another voila after. But now, they made forward 3+4 recover so slowly. Like, it recovers so slowly now. And that is just the reason why the combo doesn't work anymore. Like, where did this go? They took it out here. Recovery time reduced by 5 frames. So now you can no longer get that. I think they meant increase by 5 frames. Yeah, so Lili, less carried. I think the Lili mains will be okay, but hard for people like me. You know, we're trying to get carried. I'm going to keep it real. Nina, not many changes. Just blonde bomb forward 1+2. It had tracking and pushback reduced. It was a ridiculous move to try to get around. And then down forward 3+4 was her wipe the floor. I didn't even know she had a new command input for it, to be honest. But now she doesn't enter crouching state immediately. She enters it after 4 frames. So you can clip her with mids a bit more often. Otherwise, it looks like just damage and consistency changes. And again, damage numbers, not a huge deal here. So moving forward. Paul Phoenix, the easily the biggest winner of the entire patch. Paul was fine. Paul was good. If you fought like a good Paul player, you knew. So I don't know what this is about. To be honest, it even feels like it goes against some of the design philosophy changes they said, which was situations where one player dominates the attack, making it difficult to utilize defensive techniques effectively. Paul gets that. So on Heat Engage, for example, after Death Fist and QCB2, they're closer. So he gets a Demo Man threat, a raw 50-50 threat again. Which kind of feels the opposite of that design philosophy. But that's pretty minor too. Forward 2 is the fastest heat engaging launcher in the game now. The fastest. If you want to see how fast this is, I'll show you. Like 13 frames, whatever. That's like a Steve back 1. Yeah, that's like a Steve back 1. Look at this visually. Okay? Put Paul in heat. You see how fast that is? That means as a 13 frame punish, if you do a hop kick on Paul, he can punish you with this and it turns into a combo. This isn't even a Paul combo. I don't even know Paul combos, but that's ridiculous. 13 frame launcher. Even the Paul mains glaciating Joey Fury. They're very happy about this. They're very honest about it too. You can check Twitter. Glaciating's very honest about this. The Paul mains are eating good. Other big change is he can go into this deep dive stance out of back sway now. So before it was crouch dash and then deep dive. You see how he wiggles his hands backwards and he gets this new low or whatever. If I can execute it properly. Yeah. He can do it out of back sway now. So he is gonna be a menace. He has access to so many moves, so many powerful moves out of multiple stances. They're evasive. Like, this is crazy. Paul already has insane range, right? So giving him more attacking power is kind of crazy. Like, Paul, I know at a low level he's Death Fist Demo Man, but at a high level he's actually kind of hard to maneuver around in the poking game. He has these huge nukes, but if you get in on him and kind of don't eat the down forward 2, don't get out poked, or don't get blown up by like a comeback move, he can crumble, right? He also struggles against like Lili, who can compete with his range. So Paul was strong, but you needed really good defense to make him shine. Now it feels like he can kind of do whatever. So here are the list of his changes. Forward 2, 13 frame heat engaging launcher. Forward 4 is now -5 instead of -8, and it's a closer distance on heat engage, again allowing the Demo Man mix up right after. He can charge his Hammer of the God. I forgot to even mention this. You can charge this now. It's a counter hit launcher. Like, anyways, it's chargeable. Up back 2 has 2 frames of faster recovery. Up forward 2 has less pushback on block. I keep having Kazuya sidestep. Let me turn that off. Less pushback on block, so you're in this +5 situation right in their face. Forward, forward 4, +2 on block with chip damage. The early ranks are going to love that. While standing 3, +6 on hit. I'm not sure what that's about, but that's what that is. He basically got everything buffed. I don't see a... Do I see a down arrow? I don't see a down arrow. All right, if you're just counting the up and down arrows, Paul done got any. Except this. Let's go to Raven. Paul's going to be insane. Expect to see a lot more Paul. Raven got a ton of bug fixes. Raven has had a lot of buggy hitboxes. The Raven mains will be sure to let you know about that. No shade, you know. But they've also done some nice quality of life changes. I think 3-4 now has a jump status, so it's easier to jump over the lows, and that visually makes sense. And then he has access to his full crouch low now from standing with this input, down, down, forward 3. That's a huge change. It's really, really nice. And they've also buffed some of his back turn moves. So a back turn forward 3 is the knee. I'll pull it up right here while I talk about it. Back turn forward 3 is the knee, and back turn forward 4 is the low. So these adjustments have given him more of a legitimate back turn game with legitimate threats. So this is the low out of standing. He can parry out of this if you try to punish it. But the nasty part is on counter hit. If I just go into back turn and I hit forward 3, he's +14. So he gets that guaranteed, which turns into a heat dash launcher. It's one of the launching heat dashes when he's in heat. Demonstration. Like that, right? And then back turn forward 4, leading to some mix-ups out of a low. So Raven looking a lot scarier from the rear. Pretty insane. Reina. A lot of people were thinking Reina might be nerfed. Reina might not be nerfed. At a high level, you see a lot of her. At a low level, she has like the lowest win rate, I think. So like, what's the deal with Reina? Well, she definitely has a bit of a demand to use for a brand new Tekken player, but at the highest level, she was insane. So they've targeted some really egregious things, but I think ultimately she's okay. Small change this. So that one Taido kick where she's like, oh yeah, you know, she's like really down there low. All of those are no longer crouching. Expanded hurt box and removed crouching status, right? So that's a lot of moves. And a lot of people were kind of scamming with like immediately ducking and doing that move. So it's easier to clip her out of it now, which is pretty nice. That's nice for like, I think the low level or like the like 1st to 2 tournament Reinas who will try to rob you with that. That's really nice for stability. It visually probably looks weird that she's not crouching, but it makes a lot of sense. 4-4-2, Raiden. I didn't even know that was the name of the move. Raiden. Infamous move, now less likely to hit opponents moving to Reina's right side, which is sidestep left, which is the way I believe you should have been going anyways to beat her electric and other moves. So easier to sidestep is huge. Like that's the counterplay we want. Like I don't want to just block and guess. I don't want to just wait for her to do her thing and then I react. Give me some proactivity that I can get around it if I read her. So forward 4-2, steppable to the left a bit more easily. They made the change to Sentai 1-2. This is the 2-hit power crush, kind of like Hwoarang's. You can grab punish the second one. It was -15, but if you don't have a 15-frame launcher, now you have access to a throw punish or, you know, whatever your character might have. And Sentai 3 wasn't parryable, I guess, and now it is. Bug fix. Shaheen, we're making good progress. Forward 2-3 buffed, and they explained this as because they nerfed Sneak 2, the flip over after slide, they wanted to buff him somewhere. So he goes to +20. It's +20 G, so they can guard, right? It's not like a true +20 follow-up. Oh, Reina's power crush is -16. Thank you very much. Not -15. Streamer, by the way. Thank you very much for the help, Chicken Mar. So, Shaheen, forward 2-3 now gives +20 G. That's a lot. Basically, that means his lows faster than 20 frames cannot be low parried after this situation. That's really good. I feel like there's a lot of plus double-digit moves that we haven't seen often. I heard that from Speed Kicks. I did not make that up. I got to keep it honest. All right. A lot of these conclusions are stolen. Anyway, safe high heat engage power crush nerf is also nerfed. It's a global nerf. Everybody who had safe, high, heat engaging power crushes, actually not even heat engaging, had them nerfed. So this is a big deal. That move was really, really annoying to deal with as an opponent of Shaheen. Guard break when not in heat. So I know I made that sound weird. This move, I didn't remember what it was called. Like, I think is it Algol Master? I don't know. But he like does a jump and it like breaks your guard when he's in heat, and then you can delete your gray health. If you do it not in heat, it like wall staggered in the past, but I didn't know that because no Shaheens use it. So they took out the wall stagger, made it +4 on block, but nobody was using it. It's like a high, so weird. And then finally, Stealth Step or Sneak 2 doesn't flip over anymore, so he doesn't get like the looping slide situation, kind of like Law's Nunchuck doesn't flip over anymore. So Shaheen, hopefully easier to fight with the slide situation. But now we get to go to my boy Steve. This is cool. I don't know if it's broken after looking at the frame situation for each of these cancels, but it's cool. It makes him feel more fluid. So if you don't know, Lionheart used to be a forced stance, but now he can cancel the Lionheart entries and just not go into Lionheart. So the big one is, for example, While Rising 2-2 used to be plus 11 with the Lionheart stance transition. But for most of the transitions, the exception being the Heat Smash, Steve just gives up 4 frames to not do the cancel. So he gets some really nice frame traps now, whereas before he was stuck in the stance and had to pick a few options. Now he's plus 7 in standing. So this frame traps, this is great for Steve, right? He's no longer forced to play this high guard break or mid like a heat engaging, non-launching heat engager, or the mid tornado launcher. He instead gets more flexibility, and Steve has always kind of been cool because you could cancel his stances into neutral or other stances. So I really like this change. It feels a lot more like the Steve we know. Changes I didn't expect is he gets Sonic Fang from crouch. So like if you block a 14 frame low, he could just do Sonic Fang, and that had the side effect where if you counter hit down forward 2 and you're frame perfect, you can, well, it's not frame perfect. I think you have like 3 frames of leniency. You can convert this into Sonic Fang. I'm not going to sit here on stream and try it 10 million times or in this video, but this is a really cool conversion, harder than the Shiro combo if you ask me from Tekken 7. Really, really hard conversion. I'm looking forward to seeing the best Steve mains in the world do it, because I'm going to struggle with that for a while. While crouching down forward 2, this is his big launcher from crouch, is now 2 frames faster. So it used to be 18 frames, now it's 16. I don't think this is going to change most of his punishment, because I can't name a minus 16 low off the top of my head. But what I do know is that if you duck a high, like a jab, it's going to make it easier to launch it. So this is really, really nice for Steve. Huge change. Finally, Lionheart 1, the mid-safe homing heat engager, is now minus 4 instead of minus 9. That's kind of impressive. Reina down back 2 is minus 16. Great, thank you. That's huge. That's huge for beating Reina. So Steve, a bit of an easier Reina matchup now, but it doesn't help with like Fang, who's down back 3 is minus 15, etc. So if it's unclear, by the way, the whole point of 18 versus 16 usually didn't matter if it was a staggering low. But if it's a low that has slight punishability from like closer to the launch punish threshold, like as Chicken Maru said, Reina's minus 16, now Steve can launch it, whereas before he couldn't. That's when it really matters. Is that the end? Did we reach the end of the list? Oh, I just went out of order. I apologize. Oh, I went way out of order. How did Steve get over there? Anyways, unintentionally in the right order. Next is Victor. This is also one of the biggest changes that people may not have expected. Or, I mean, people did expect, but maybe not how it happened, okay? So back 1+2, I have to show you this. This looks so funny. If you have seen any footage of Victor, you've seen this move. And so I don't have to make like a comparison video. You can just look at this. So they reduced the range, speed, tracking, hitbox, and its startup is now 19 frames. But look at how short it is now. It feels like an old man move now. He feels like the way he looks. Oh my goodness, that is slow and stubby. Oh, that is so funny. I love this nerf. It thematically makes sense. You know, that shit is hilarious. Okay, so huge nerf to that. Running 2 also nerfed. It's only +2 on block, but he can go into EI stance. So this hyper solid, like Farzine style gameplay of like spamming the neutral control and picking random buttons, that's nerfed. But now that Victor could go into stance at +5, this is way nastier now. Like for the random Victor you don't want to lose a first to 2 to, oh my goodness, this is going to be really annoying to fight. So enjoy. It's also 2 frames slower, but still. And by the way, you might be wondering, what if I counter hit launch him and then I go into stance? How do I convert? Well, they made this move like strong aerial tailspin. So now he gets to convert even if he goes into stance. So he's always going to be benefiting. Expulsion consumes more heat and has worse tracking. I haven't actually seen the heat consumption yet. Yeah. So I don't think you get 3 if you like heat engage, like you probably only get 2 uses. Yeah, it's half meter. So you always only get 2 expulsions now instead of 3. That's a big deal. Forward 4-2 has less pushback on block. This move, it was really hard to punish, even though it was minus 16 or 17? Minus 18? Minus 16, right? But now it's very easy to launch punish with that distance. Down forward 2 has more recovery for both players, so also easier to punish. In terms of buffs, though, Perfumer 1 is now plus 14 on counter hit, which now means this is a frame trap. The While Standing 2. While Standing 2 is a counter hit launcher. If they jab back or down jab back, they're launched. They're in the air. They have to do armor or some other option that isn't exactly 10 frames. It's also minus 12 on block now instead of 13. That's a big deal. Usually at minus 13 is when characters get their stronger punish. So like the next degree of punish, you get like your small While Standing 4, and then at 13 you get like a bigger one. So staying at minus 12 is really, really a nice buff. Perfumer 1 plus 2 is buffed. It's plus 6 now and less pushback. So he's in a position to play a mix-up. Get you here. It's probably harder to move around him. You could probably grab him out of this. By the way, Raw Perfumer has a punch parry associated with it now. I don't even know how to test this. Like, let me do a double jab, I guess. Like, I have not seen this. Oh, I still have Kazuya doing his hell sweeps. Oh, it saved his settings. Did you see that? It saved Kazuya's settings across my character change. That's how that works. Whoa, that's cool. You know what's cool is I wish Noctis had this in Tekken 7. Noctis had this phasing ability where he would turn blue in his original game, and I thought it'd be cool if he had a parry where he turned blue as well and like phase through it. So that's pretty cool. But Victor is clearly more of a stance character now than he was previously, where he was just dominating neutral with all these ridiculous running moves and counter hit launchers and stuff like that. Now they want you to go into stance and play more mix-ups. This is plus 4 now, by the way. We changed, it used to be plus 1. And then finally, here's the punch parry you mentioned. I mentioned this becoming a strong aerial tailspin and the frame trap already. So that covers Victor's changes. Again, if you're a Victor player, take a close look at these. Try these out. There's going to be new flowcharts, new situations. He's a different character now. Everybody is kind of a different character, especially with stances. So the game is different with like heat and throws. A lot of us are going to have to do a lot of learning. Xiayou, not a lot of changes as soon as I say that. The big one, I think, is bug fixes for hitboxes and hurt boxes. Or maybe not bug fixes, but like intended behavior. And then her throw, her Waning Moon, now wall splats. Or if it wall splats, it does more damage. Okay. Yoshimitsu got buffed. And they said it's because previous updates didn't enhance his appeal. So they buffed him. Yoshi is really good, guys. Yoshi is really good. And they just made him better. Mainly through Indian stance. So now he's able to act faster out of it. And it actually, his moves will come out faster. You can buffer the inputs. He has new ways to get into Indian stance. That's the one where he's sitting and, you know, meditating. Or like, how do you say this without looking sus? He's pumping his sword, okay? That's just what it is. Kincho forward 1 is... wow, I really was on something when I typed this. Kincho forward 1 sucks them in now and has no tracking on whiff. Kincho down 1, down back, cancels into crouch. He had this, I believe, in Tekken 7, where you could cancel this into crouch, which is pretty cool. The whole idea here was that if... Now it's like vortexes them in. There we go. This move vortexes them in, so it's less likely to whiff. But it loses tracking on whiff. It used to randomly track too, so a bit more reliability. By the way, this is the Indian stance I was talking about. Dragonfly 1 has more damage, more tracking, consumes less heat. Dragonfly forward 1 plus 2 consumes less heat. And this is now homing. This is his 3 slide 4, but from Indian stance, it's now homing. I don't know why they did that. Yoshimitsu is going to be so nasty. I might actually play this character. I'm really excited. Yoshi is cool, man. Zafina already got her huge buffs in the last version, so all they really changed is her while standing 1-2 behaves differently. It just knocks down differently. And with that, we've gone through every character. I think this patch is ultimately a win, with a few colossal question marks. Paul Phoenix, Yoshimitsu, Kazuya, and King. This is an insanely cool patch for mainly the system changes. They've clearly come up with a vision of what they think Tekken 8 should be, and it's built on the idea of having counterplay, right? Not oppressive situations, lots of counterplay, giving a lot of agency, giving comeback potential. Like, I like that. But some of these characters are so oppressive, you have to wonder what it's going to look like on the pro stage. Like, King is going to be a menace. He already is. The John from Pakistan already demonstrating a lot of King. The NA though is kind of, I think, on top for King. We're talking Jasandi, the Jake Man MD. If Lil Majin comes back, we're gonna see some crazy King gameplay from him. Lily's gonna be a bit down for sure. I think she's still good, but the Lily mains will have to work a lot harder. I think the bandwagoners are probably gonna drop her because she's harder to just like easily swing through like a carried situation with. She's still very good. She's still very, very good, but her ridiculousness was toned down. Alisa being mostly untouched, also a huge winner. Claudio being mostly untouched, also a pretty good winner. Asuka getting buffed, pretty nice, considering that they're buffing her offensive capability as a defensive character. This is looking pretty good. I think most people will be happy, except the Deviljin players. They've been dooming a lot. Understandably, Deviljin used to be the best character in so many Tekkens, and now, same with Steve. But if you're a Kazuya player, if you're a King player, if you're a Yoshimitsu player, if you're a Paul player, enjoy the ride, boy. Enjoy the ride. This is going to be... You guys are going to have so much fun. I'm curious what they're going to do. Are they going to nerf? I mean, the Raven players too are having fun. A lot of changes. But I've rambled on enough. I hope you've enjoyed this quick breakdown. I tried to keep it as fast as possible, keep it to what's relevant. Please leave a like, leave a comment if you have feedback on how I can maybe do this faster. I wanted to show what was necessary. These patches are big, man. I don't think they're going to do patches this big anymore. So hopefully the patch rundowns get a bit faster. If you stuck around this long, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you. Please subscribe for more content, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.